this show to me felt a bit messy. It felt a bit thrown together, and I don't even know how to explain it. Most of the things that happened tonight, some of the things that happened tonight, it just felt like it was just thrown together. Like it was just there to be there. And a lot of it just felt messy. This whole show, honestly, it was kind of just all over the place, in my opinion. And maybe I'm the only one who felt this way. I don't know if you felt this way too, but me watching the show, I was like, okay, some of this stuff is entertaining. Some of this stuff doesn't make sense. And other stuff, I'm like, why is it even here? Like, especially that Kit Wilson and Carmelo Hayes backstage segment. I'm like, what is Kit Wilson even talking about at this point? Like, some of the stuff, it just didn't make sense. And we had some matches confirmed for next week, but the matches didn't even sound interesting. So I'm like, what's even the point of showing it this time around to be like, oh, next week we're going to get a match where it's Kit Wilson versus Carmelo Hayes for nothing. I'm like, what are we doing? Nobody's hyped to see some of these matches that are announced. I'm like, who cares? And some of the moments that happened tonight, they were cool, but then they got ruined by the logic of it all. Because something cool happened, but then you really think about it for one second, you're like, it doesn't really make sense. Like that Jade Cargill heel turn. It was a cool moment. But I'm like, if you're going to turn heel, why come out and save Tiffany Stratton in the first place? Why not just jump in and help the other people jump her? It would have been a 3-on-1. You had Kiana James and Julia Gulia jumping Tiffany Stratton. You come out to beat up Julia, to beat up Kiana James, just to then turn on Tiffany Stratton. And I know it's for the moment, but still, it doesn't really make sense. That's what I'm hinting at. Like, there's cool stuff that happened, yes, but then when you think about it for a little bit longer, it's just like, what's the point, really? It just didn't logically make sense, and that kind of ruined some of the moments for me tonight. But besides that, though, let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about what we saw in this week's episode of Smackdown. But before we get into all that, as always, the quote of the day. Quote of the day: even when the melody of life goes offbeat, keep dancing. Sometimes the most beautiful moments are born from unplanned rhythms. Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 16 through 18. That is your quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. Let's get right into this review. So on this week's episode of Smackdown, we started off with a Cody Rhodes in-ring promo. And Cody Rhodes basically came out and he didn't say much of anything, honestly. And that's like the reoccurring theme. Cody Rhodes doesn't really say much of anything. So Cody Rhodes came out and he basically said that last week he did something that was uncharacteristic of him. He attacked Drew McIntyre with his championship, and that's very unlike Cody. That's not something Cody would normally do. But however, Cody says that he doesn't think he should or even needs to apologize for his actions. Yes, it was uncharacteristic of him, but it was justified in his mind, in his eyes. It was justified. So he doesn't feel like he needs to apologize or he should even apologize for his actions. And that's basically what he was saying. And I'm like, this doesn't sound babyface-ish. This sounds a little bit heelish to me. And I'm like, they're pointing more and more and more at this Cody Rhodes heel turn. And I'm kind of interested. And if it is a Cody Rhodes heel turn, I would be so hyped. I would be so excited. Something new, something different. So that'd be really cool in my eyes, in my opinion. But anyhow, though, Cody Rhodes says he will not apologize. And then Drew McIntyre comes out and interrupts Cody Rhodes, saying that, save it. I don't need your apology. I don't want your apology. I can't believe you guys are even cheering for this corporate Cody Rhodes. I can't believe you're cheering for this poser. He's lying to your face. He's lying to all of you. And you cheer for him and boo me? Drew McIntyre went on to say, I didn't have anything to do with that Jacob Fatu attack. But as a matter of fact, though, let's talk about that Jacob Fatu attack. And let's talk about who actually did attack Jacob Fatu. And suspiciously enough, I repeat again, suspiciously enough, Cody Rhodes lost his mind. He was like, we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. And I'm like, I'm no detective, but that seems weird to me, okay? He's talking about something. We don't need to talk about that. If you didn't have anything to do with it, Cody, you should just be denying and say, okay, let's talk about it. What actually did happen, Drew? Because you're responsible for it. I didn't have anything to do with it. But he's saying, let's not talk about that instead of saying I didn't have anything to do with it. So I'm like, curious case over here, Cody. So I'm pretty sure Cody was behind the attack, and if he wasn't, it would be a crazy swerve, but I think he was. But anyhow, though, he refused to let Drew McIntyre finish his thought, finish talking about who potentially attacked Jacob Fatu, and he went on to just try to antagonize Drew McIntyre, saying, you know what, let's pick up right where we ended off last week. Let's fight again. You want this fight? I want this fight. Let's do it again. And out of nowhere, a completely irate Jimmy Uso, who thinks Drew McIntyre is responsible for what happened to Jacob Fatu, comes out, and he absolutely ambushes Drew McIntyre. Because in his mind, it's not Cody, it's no one else. It has to be Drew McIntyre. So he came with no evidence, no receipts, nothing to back it up. He just came out here to throw hands, and he thought it was Drew, so he threw hands at Drew, and that was that. So he came out to defend Jacob Fatu, which was cool, which shows family aspects of it, but it's still, I'm like, you're not even on this show anymore. Let them, they're grown men. Let them figure out their own business. Let them work it out. Let them figure out what they want to do. If Jacob Fatu got jumped, I'm sure Jacob Fatu is going to come back and throw hands with whoever did it. Okay? Because he's all gas and no breaks with it. Yeah, I mean. So I'm sure Jacob Fatu could handle it. But whatever. Anyhow, though, that was your first segment. That's how it ended, with Jimmy Uso just basically ambushing Drew McIntyre. And that was that. He attacked Drew McIntyre, and these two men went on to fight a little bit backstage, too. And then we got a main event match set up for later on, where it was going to be Jimmy Uso versus Drew McIntyre in a no disqualification match. And that was our main event, and it was announced right at the top of the show, basically. But anyhow, after that, we got on to our first match of the night, and it was the MFTs versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rey Fenix. And Rey Fenix is getting tossed partners left and right. It's every week Rey Fenix is paired up with a new face, with a new person. I'm like, it's so funny. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, they don't know what to do with this man. But anyhow, though, we got into the match. And this match, it was a solid match. But I'm not going to lie to you, though. In this match, JC Mateo did not do anything for me. Like, I don't remember anything memorable that he did. He was just there. There was not anything too crazy he did, anything too memorable, anything too mind-blowing, anything that you'll even remember. The people that did stand out to me were Rey Fenix and Tama Tonga. Rey Fenix and Tama Tonga were both really entertaining, in my opinion, in this match. And I have to say it right here. I'll say it first and foremost. Tama Tonga has to be my second favorite MFT member behind Solo Sikoa. Besides that, though, nobody else in the group really has too much character, too much intrigue about them. But Tama Tonga, he has like this special, unique intrigue about him, where like he has a cool character, he has something different, something unique. His little like catchphrases, how he moves in the ring, it's cool, it's unique, it's captivating. But the other members, they don't really do it for me. Rey Fenix and Tama Tonga were the only two entertaining stars in this match for me. Shinsuke Nakamura was there too, but he didn't really do anything too crazy or anything too memorable, so I don't really have much to say about that. But the match overall, it was solid, both on the end of Rey Fenix and Tama Tonga. I feel like they really did carry the match, so that was that. I liked how Tama Tonga was moving in the ring. I liked the high flying moves from Rey Fenix, and that was the fun parts that I liked about it. Besides that, though, everything else, it was just basic, bland, your standard match. But anyway, so at the end of the match, due to interference from the other MFT members that were ringside, JC Mateo and Tama Tonga were able to pick up the win over Shinsuke Nakamura and Rey Fenix. And I'm like, if you want to build up this group, have them win cleanly or something. Like, if you have them win via interference and stuff like that, they don't look any stronger. They just look like they can't win by themselves. And you're trying to revamp this group, make them look strong, rebuild them. You can't have them winning via interference in their very first match. It just looks silly. But anyhow, though, after that, we got on to our second match of the night, and it was Tiffany time! Tiffany Stratton versus Kiana James. And in this match, we had a few cool spots, but besides that, though, there was nothing really much else to talk about. And the cool spots we did get, they were more so towards the end of the match. So the first half, I want to say, wasn't really anything too special, anything too crazy. It was near the end where we got some cool high-flying moves, some cool swanton dives from Tiffany Stratton. And then we had Kiana James having some cool sequences as well. And that was mainly towards the end, like I said. So the first half of the match was kind of boring, in my opinion. But besides that, though, there's not much else to say about this match. The crowd did really seem hyped for this match, and they were really excited. I couldn't pinpoint why or when it happened, but they really got into it. And I'm like, I don't know. We're watching the same thing, aren't we? So I don't know what to say about that, but the crowd was really into it, so I'm happy they enjoyed it at least. But for me, though, I didn't know what they were really cheering for, because I'm like, I'm watching the same match. I'm seeing the same spots. There wasn't anything crazy that happened. I don't know, though. So that was that. But anyhow, though, at the end of the match, Tiffany Stratton was able to hit her prettiest moonsault finisher on Kiana James for the win. And after she picked up the win, she ended up getting jumped by both Julia and Kiana James. And like I said at the beginning of the video, Jade Cargill ended up making her return. And weirdly enough, she came out to the aid of Tiffany Stratton, like I said. And that really scrambled my brain, because I'm like, you were in a feud against her. You were fighting against her for the women's championship. Now all of a sudden you're buddy rescuing her. But as soon as I said that, though, we got the heel turn, and she ended up saving Tiffany Stratton, then turning on her, and she viciously beat down Tiffany Stratton. I'm like, okay, cool moment. I like the heel turn. And we got this new mean, aggressive looking Jade Cargill, and she's like, all business, no joke. She said that she can't just wait around for opportunity. She has to take it. She has to take the power. She has to take these opportunities. She's done waiting around, and she's coming for it all. And if she wants something, she's going to go get it. And that's basically what she said. And that was the message she was sending. And she viciously beat down Tiffany Stratton, like I said. And she even did a scary spot where she stomped on Tiffany Stratton's leg that was on the stairs and looked like she broke it. And I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed the moment. I enjoyed the heel turn. And I'm already enjoying this new version of Jade Cargill winning. Like, she looks mean. She looks like an absolute threat, more than before. before. So excited to see where this goes. And Jade Cargill actually came out with that mean eyebrow scar she got, that injury when Nia Jax sent her face first into steel stairs, or at least when she went face first into steel stairs by herself. I don't know what happened fully, but she did come out with that mean looking scar, and it still hasn't healed yet. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that looks bad, but it looked cool, but it looked bad, but it looked cool. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, she came out with the scar and everything, and that really added to a whole new look. So I was like, that's a nice touch. But that was that, though. She ended up just picking up Tiffany Stratton's championship, holding it and looking at it, hinting that I'm coming for it. And we have a match set up for Saturday night main event where it's going to be Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill for the Smackdown Women's Championship. So I'm like, okay, that's cool, I guess. I don't know if Jade Cargill's finally going to win it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know at this point. But anyhow, though, after this, we ended up getting onto our third match of the night. And it was Ilya Dragunov versus Aleister Black in a U.S. Open Challenge match. And I'm so glad the tradition of the U.S. Open Challenge is continuing, because it's such a cool thing. It's such a highlight in the show. So I'm happy that they didn't end it with Sami Zayn. We're still getting Open Challenges. So that's a pretty neat thing. That was probably my favorite part of the show when Sami Zayn had it. So that's pretty cool that it's continuing. I'm really enjoying that the tradition is continuing as well. So John Cena passed it on to Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn passed it on to Dragunov. So I'm like, okay, I'm here for it. But anyhow, though, this match was a really long match in all honesty. It was a pretty solid match, I guess, but nothing crazy. Like I said, it was just a really, really long match. We got a few cool spots here and there, but my main thing was that these two stars, they had the same in-ring styles. So like their styles didn't really complement each other. It was basically more of the same. So we're basically seeing the same moves from each man, the same moves from each competitor. So I'm like, they kind of clash, but not in the good way. So there wasn't really much to say. We did get a few cool spots here and there, but nothing crazy, nothing memorable once again, and nothing you're going to go back to rewatch. Oh, and I was thinking too, when we got to main event, I'm like, they should have took like a few minutes off this match just so they could add it to the main event so the main event could breathe. Because this match was really long and it did not need to be long. At least make the no disqualification match long, but that's for later on in the video. Let's talk about this match first. And this match, though, we did get a few cool spots, like I said, and we got a lot of interference from Zelina Vega. She was trying to make sure Aleister Black didn't lose. She wanted Aleister Black to be the new U.S. champion. She did all she could, but in the end, due to a distraction from Damian Priest himself, Damian Priest ended up coming out and costing Aleister Black the match. Aleister Black was distracted, and Dragunov ended up hitting this running headbutt on Aleister Black for the win, and that was that. And Ilya Dragunov ended up retaining the United States Championship in his first ever Open Challenge defense, which was cool. And after this, we got a huge beatdown segment between Damian Priest and Aleister Black. Damian Priest ended up viciously attacking Aleister Black, and he was about to, I don't know what he was going to do, but he picked up two chairs, and the gears in this man's head started turning, and it was nothing but criminal thoughts. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's he about to do with that? But luckily enough, though, Zelina Vega was able to come to the rescue of her husband, Aleister Black, and she was able to poke and scratch and claw at Damian Priest's eyes, giving Aleister Black the split-second window he needed to get away and make his daring escape. And that was that. So we got Damian Priest returning, basically. He had this huge scar on his face. He looked like Zuko from Avatar Last Airbender, which was really funny. But he had this scar on his face from the fireball, and he just basically came back to get his receipt. And it seems like this story between him and Aleister Black is definitely continuing, which is kind of boring in my opinion, because I thought the last match was going to be the end of it all. That was going to be the end of the story, the end of the feud. So I'm like, I don't know why this is continuing or what's even left to be told about it, but whatever. But anyhow, after this, we ended up getting to our main event of the night, and it was our fourth and final match, and it was Jimmy Uso versus Drew McIntyre in a no disqualification match. And like I said earlier, this match should have definitely been longer. I don't know why this match wasn't longer. If this match was longer and had more time to breathe, it would have been so much better. It would have been probably match of the night. But overall tonight, there was no match of the night for me. I don't even know what to say about it. But like I said, though, if they took a few minutes away from that Aleister Black and Ilya Dragunov Open Challenge and added it to this match, it would have been so much better. It would have been so fun. It would have had time to breathe. It would have had time for the fans to really get behind it. But this match, being a match with the only match with the stipulation, it was so quick, and I'm like, we didn't get to see enough of this. And it was a no DQ match at that, so I wanted to see chairs, kendo sticks, tables, announcers tables. I wanted to see everything, but we barely even got to see any of those crazy spots. So that was that. It was just a standard, not even standard. It was just a no disqualification match, a rush no disqualification match at that. But anyways, though, throughout this match, it seemed like the crowd was also really behind it as well, because they were really cheering for Jimmy Uso and a bit for Drew McIntyre too, which was pretty cool. So that was that. But throughout this match, we did see a few weapons, mainly just chairs and tables, and that was that. Nothing else too crazy, nothing else even too memorable, or nothing else even worth rewatching, because that was literally that. Those were the only cool spots we got. But besides that, though, at the end of the match, Drew McIntyre was able to hit a Claymore kick on Jimmy Uso for the win. And while he was antagonizing Jimmy Uso after the match, he had a chair around his neck and he was screaming, "I didn't attack Fatu, I didn't do that." Out of nowhere, but Cody Rhodes ended up running out and making the save, and he ended up trying to beat up Drew McIntyre, but it backfired on him instead, and Drew McIntyre left him laid out. Drew McIntyre hit Cody Rhodes with a Claymore kick and left Cody Rhodes absolutely laid out, and that was that, and that's how your show ended, with Cody Rhodes laid out, Jim Uso laid out, and Drew McIntyre being held back by security, so he didn't do any more damage to these two men. And that was that, and that was your whole show. And overall, I'd rate this episode of SmackDown probably a solid 4 out of 10, maybe even a 4.5 out of 10. But like I said, though, it was really all over the place in my opinion. It just felt a bit messy, and it felt like a lot of things were just rushed or just thrown together, and they were just there for the sake of being there, not really a rhyme or reason behind it. This show, like I said, it felt messy to me. That's the best way I could describe it. Messy and thrown together. But there are a few moments and a few spots and a few things I liked here and there. But overall, though, it was just, I don't know. Just something felt off, something felt missing, something felt messy, something just felt rushed. And I don't know. I hope I was the one who felt like this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked what you saw. But me personally, though, I don't know. It just felt bland to me in a way. I don't even know how to put it into words, honestly. But anyhow, though, that was your review and your breakdown of this week's episode of SmackDown. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hearing me out. And thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.